My name is Bill Solomon, and I'm the Senior Associate Dean for External Relations. But today it's my great honor to introduce Professor Muhammad Yunus, the man who has done more to democratize access to credit around the world than any other person. What I most enjoyed learning today is that he has this knack for viewing every problem in the world as an opportunity. And in contrast to many people who see the problems, he is willing to act. He structures experiments, he gathers resources, and he attacks these problems with a passion that is unparalleled. I could list all of his honors, but then he wouldn't be able to talk. So please join me in welcoming Professor Yunus.
Wow. I thought you should continue. So I don't have to talk anymore. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you, Bill, for the introduction. And as I'm going around meeting students, it looks like they already know everything about me. I have very little to say. I don't know where to start. I'm very delighted that I get this opportunity to explain and kind of defend myself, what I do. Sometimes people feel that these are crazy things. Why should anybody do something like that? Why I did it. And I try to explain by making my self-defense, saying that when you are in desperate situation, you do desperate things. These are, if there is abnormality in it, it is because of the abnormal situation in which I was pushed into by the circumstances that existed in my country. And that's what began the idea of lending money to poor women because of the extreme circumstances in the village. Nationally, it was extreme circumstances, so I was trying to see if something I can do to be useful to people, because I was teaching economics in the classroom, and I was very proud of the things that I teach to my students, all those beautiful, elegant theories of economics. Then came the famine in the country, and suddenly your enthusiasm keeps on disappearing. Soon you feel like an empty shell. You feel totally useless because all your brilliant theories doesn't have any meaning to the people who are suffering so much for the circumstances imposed on them. So out of that frustrations and very dark kind of environment around you, and you try to come out with something. And the only thing I could come up with, I said, I cannot do anything to help people, large number of people. But certainly, as a human being, I have the capacity to stand by another human being and be useful to that person, even for a day. Why don't I do that? So then I started feeling a little bit better. Why don't I do that? And luckily for me, the university that I was teaching is located right among villages. It's in the middle of the villages, not an urban center. So I could just walk out of the campus and be with the people at the traditional village and so on. And I did it every day, and with the mission that I want to be useful to another human being, even for one day. So I was looking for an opportunity how to make it happen so that I don't feel burdened with all the guilt that I am a useless person. So as I did it, I feel a little bit alive that yes, I can do something. And in the process, I learned a lot about people, about the village, about poverty. They became persons, they became individuals, became my friends. Then I see gradually one problem emerging and becoming clearer and clearer to me, the loan sharking in the village. And I wanted to understand how ruthless that system is why they do it, those who do it, what is their kind of mental attitude towards it, those who take the money from the loan sharks, what are the circumstances which create this necessity for them. So I took a student of mine, went around in the village for several days to make a list of people who were borrowing from the loan sharks. When my list was complete, there were 42 names on that list. And the total money they borrowed together was $27. And I couldn't believe that people have to suffer so much for so little money. So I was shocked. I didn't know what to do. I realized how difficult the problem is, which is going on for centuries all over the world. I know I cannot do anything about the whole system. But suddenly it occurred to my mind, the problem may be global, problem may be difficult, but the problem that I have in my hand is very simple. I can solve it. Why don't I solve this problem? Forget about the rest, I don't know what to do, but I can solve this problem. And the idea that came to my mind that why don't I give this $27 from my pocket and let them return the money to the loan sharks so that they become free. And that's anytime I can do. And I did it immediately. I didn't even wait for a second thought or reflect on it, nothing. I instantaneously came up with the idea and started giving this money to those 42 people. And I felt a little better that I did something which I felt I could do, and I did it. But I didn't expect anything to happen in that. But something started happening. People started looking at me in a very strange way after this event, that after I gave the money. It created such a sensation in the village. Nobody could believe that someone could do such a thing. Then day after day, seeing this, another thought came to my mind. If you can make so many people so happy with such a small amount of money, why shouldn't you do more of it? So I thought I should do more of it. I can give it from my pocket. I can do something which can continue. Then came the idea, why don't I go to the bank? Let them handle this, because it's such a simple thing. Such a small amount of money, they will not even miss it. Lend the money to the poor. Instead of people going to the loan shark, they can go to the bank, and bank can handle this. When I proposed to the bank, they fell from the sky. They couldn't believe that anybody will even say such a thing. They kept repeating to me that it is impossible to do it. Bank cannot lend money to the poor people. So that another struggle began. Now the more they defend, the more I remain convinced that they are doing the wrong thing. So that struggle continued for 8 months. And finally I came up with another idea. I said, why don't you take me as a guarantor? I sign all your papers, you give the money, and I take the risk. So you protect your rules and people get the money. It was not easy, but it took another couple of months to persuade them on that one, and finally it happened. They agreed to that. That was the beginning of taking money from the bank with me signing up every single piece of paper and giving it to the people. And then I came up with ideas how to make it easy for people to pay back, just out of some practical necessity, how to make it easy and so on. And it worked. And then it became a whole long process, one after another. We became a bank in 1983 because bank, the one that we are working with, getting more and more reluctant because it's becoming big, and they said, these signatures is not going to work finally when he has to pay back the money, because if it collapses, he can't pay the money. So why should we do that? So I thought, why don't I create a bank? And that took me to another route and took another 2 years. We started in '76. We created the bank in 1983 and expanded and expanded. That's the story of Microcredit, Grameen Bank, and so on.